Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing absolutely amazing today. Thought about hopping here real quick to make a relatively quick video about something that I've been thinking about earlier today, which is kind of like this idea of you using pain and discomfort in order to achieve success in your life, but then as well accelerate your pursuit of getting to that success. Because if you think about it, the way how the human mind is wired, it is simply wired to just simply survive, right? To have food, have shelter, have a spouse, and be able to pretty much reproduce, right? So that's all that a human mind from the basic level needs. So if you have that, then achieving something greater is going to be a little bit difficult. There's going to be a bit of that discomfort and pain that you have to go through in order to actually get to something that's bigger than that. That's why if you think about it, if you wouldn't have, the house that you're living right now, or you wouldn't have food, you wouldn't have, water, you wouldn't have the basic things that a human needs, then you would be working like crazy in order to actually achieve those things. You wouldn't, procrastinate. You would just simply ruthlessly go after getting those basic needs, right? So that's why, like, when you try to achieve something bigger, there is quite a bit of that discomfort and pain you have to go through, because your mind is telling you that, hey, look, we don't need more. We already have more. Why do you want to go through this pain and this suffering and this discomfort to achieve something bigger if we are already fine right here from the basic human needs level, in a sense, right? That's also the reason why, in general, like, humans, they are wired to run away from pain and suffering and uncomfort with such more motivation compared to achieving something bigger, right? And that's also the reason why losing something feels significantly more painful from the emotional level compared to achieving the same amount of success compared to the joy and the happiness that you get. That's why, for example, if you earn $100,000, if it was great, but if you lose $100,000, it's gonna feel significantly more painful compared to the joy that you get from achieving that amount of money, right? So what you really have to do is you have to find out a way how you can make your current situation be way more painful and way more uncomfortable than the pain and the discomfort that you feel on your path to achieving success. Do you know what I mean? So for example, like for me, when I used to live with my dad as an example, this is kind of like a quick story here. I genuinely didn't want to live there. I wanted to make as much money as I physically can to actually move out, right? I'll live on my own. So because of this, the discomfort and the pain that I felt being there, living with my dad and stuff like that, was significantly higher compared to the discomfort and the pain that I felt going through the issues and the problems that I had to solve in the business to make enough money to actually move out, right? Now, since of course I've moved out and I live on my own, I cannot really use that motivational factor anymore because, I already moved out, right? And so this is also where a lot of people kind of like give up because, from the basic human level, they already have everything that they need. So when they try to achieve the success that they want to get to, a lot of people just simply give up because they do not have the tolerance to handle that pain and that discomfort to actually get to that success. And really, the reason why it is like this is because back in the tribal days, in order for you to achieve something bigger, that oftentimes meant that you had to take risks, which is obviously the same thing as right now. You need to take risks, right? But back then, in order for you to take risks, that oftentimes meant death. Because if something goes wrong, and let's say you leave that tribe, something happens and you just simply get in a very tough situation where that's it, like it's the end of your life, right? Or maybe you try to approach that girl or that girl or that guy in the tribe that you're in a sense, right? And he or she rejects you, right? That's it. Like you only have a couple options of people that you can pretty much approach it, and that's really about it, right? So your mind is kind of like telling you that, hey, let's stay where we're at right now. Let's not risk what we have right now, because that means that we could basically get to a point where we are not alive anymore, right? So that's why let's settle down. Let's not try to achieve these big things and stuff like that. Let's just stay where we're at right now. But the thing is, that's obviously something that we had to worry about many years ago when we used to live in these tribes and things like that, right? Because right now the modern society is much more forgiving of failure and things like that. So even if you try to achieve success, what's going to happen is that if you might fail a couple of times, which you obviously will, but it's not going to get you in a situation where it's the end of your life, as an example, right? Like you just get up and patch yourself up and just simply continue moving forward in a sense, right? So what you have to do is you have to find out a way, like I said, how can you make your current situation be way more painful and way more uncomfortable compared to the pain and discomfort you're going to feel on your way to success. And that could be, obviously everybody, that is watching this video could be in a unique situation, right? Depending on, where you're at right now in your life and in your business and things like that. But, from the general standpoint, what you could use as a motivational factor is think about every single day, think about what's going to be, because a lot of people think about they have these vision boards and stuff like that, right? Like where they put down stickers of Lamborghinis and like Rolex watches and mansions and all that stuff, and they look at that every single day as something that they want to achieve, right? That's a vision board they look at that every single day, right? But like I said, humans are wired in a way where they're going to run away from pain and discomfort with much more motivation than with the motivation that they will feel or pursuit of happiness and joy and all these materialistic things or whatever it might be, right? So what if you kind of have this picture in your mind every day where you think about what do you want your life not to look like every day, and use that as pain to actually get to your goal that you want to get to. So think about what your life is going to look like a couple years from now if you do not look in, if you do not go through this discomfort that you have to go through and this pain that you have to go through and all that stuff to actually get to your goal. What your life is going to look like if you do not achieve that goal. Because if you think about that, you'll probably feel quite a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort thinking that this is how your life could look like if you don't do the stuff that you need to do every single day to actually get to your goals, right? And oftentimes what you're going to see is that that pain and that discomfort that you're going to feel through visualizing this is going to be significantly bigger compared to the pain and discomfort that you'll feel on your path to achieving success. And then you can use that as your motivation to actually push through all of these, pains and all these sufferings and all these things that you have to go through to actually get to your goal that you want to get to, right? So that's a quick thing I've been thinking about today. Thought that it might be interesting for me to share that with you guys, as you might find that possibly, quite valuable in a sense. But yeah, if you have any questions or if you have any additional thoughts that you think would be good to add on this, then drop them down below in the comment section right there. I'll be going through every single one of them. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. Hope you found this video valuable, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.